Hello everyone and welcome to Helix Plays Games. My name is Richie and joining me this week is @CyberChris2077, Mr. Chris.
Hello everyone.
No Rob because he's still working on his move. I think he's got some builders and stuff. He's got a lot. There's a lot going on over there. How are you, Chris?
I'm very good, thank you. Got a bit of a sore throat and a cough and stuff. I don't know whether it's from stag do to wedding, singing and drinking far too much. But yes, apologies in advance if I have a tickly throat throughout.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up, you just been to your brother's wedding, so congratulations, Chris's brother, on your wedding. Hope you all enjoyed it.
We had a great time.
Hope you and your wife have a great life together.
Yes, far too much Jägermeister consumed, but no. Wife
at the wedding, you just said Jaeger bombs, just like during the ceremony.
Jaeger bombs with 3 for £10. I'm just going to say that was the top
at a wedding.
Order
That's ridiculously cheap. Usually, you go to a wedding, like. I think I bought you a single rum and coke at your wedding. It cost me like £7. I was like, oof, that's a painful one. I don't mind buying it, but it's like, it's like, that's eye-watering.
So you got to do it. You got to do it. Got to suck it up and bear it. But yeah, huge congratulations. Great time all round. And so I haven't been playing many games this week, but thankfully, due to one of the topics we're going to be talking about, I have managed to.
Yeah. Because I tell you what, we do have a great show lineup for you this week where we're discussing Diablo 4 reviews, GamePass for June, and what to expect at the Xbox Showcase. All that and much, much more on this week's XPass. Before you get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel or your podcast feed of choice with notifications turned on so you're kept in the loop of all of great content here at Helix Plays Games, such as our other podcast every single Tuesday. We break down all the news happening in the PlayStation sphere on YouTube and podcast services, where this week actually we will be breaking down what we to expect at the Ubisoft Showcase. We have Luna Listening, which episode 2 will go live on Wednesday of our Amazon Luna news show, which comes out every single month, so look forward to that one. We have our live streams, where last week Rob and I played Planet of Lana, which we'll be getting into the reviews on in this show, and my first impressions. And there's a lot of showcases going on at the moment, so we'll be covering some of them. I think we're planning to cover Ubisoft, we're planning to cover Xbox, we're planning to cover the main Summer Games Fest one. That's what we've got planned for now. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel for all the links as they drop. We'll be posting stuff in the Discord and on socials as well, so keep an eye on all of that stuff. So Chris, you said you haven't been playing much, but what have you been playing?
So I am now the proud owner of a Backbone controller. So I've been testing it out this week. So while I've been on the move and I've not been at home as much, it's allowed me to do some Jedi Survivor cleanup via remote play, and it's also allowed me to check out some games on Xbox Cloud Gaming using GamePass. I traditionally use my Razer Kishi, but yes, I jumped in and I checked out Planet of Lana. So I don't know if you want to get into it now or you want to hold off until we get to the review section.
We'll hold off for the review section. Overall, I mean, we talk a bit more in depth on talking to PS about the Backbone because you got the PlayStation version.
Just indeed.
Surface level impressions compared to your history with the Kishi. Which do you prefer? Which would be your recommendation?
I've got a bit of recency bias at the moment, and I haven't used my Kishi in quite some time. So I think I need to let the dust settle a little bit before I just go all in and go. Oh.
It's Kishi V version 1, not
it is,
the newer version.
The OG. There's a couple of differences we mentioned about like the rigidity of the Backbone on the Android version. I do appreciate the PlayStation branding on it. That's what I was holding out for specifically, because there was always a Backbone that was just your traditional XYZB. But yeah, I waited out for it. I've got it. I've enjoyed it, and as I said, I've played about 2 hours of Planet of Lana using it. But we'll get into that on the reviews. And it's definitely worthwhile picking up. Maybe the price point's a bit too steep at the moment. But overall, good bit of kit. And if you're on the move like I am often with work, handy to have.
Yeah. I'm a bit jealous I could do it. I'm probably going to have to dust off my Kishi because I am going to Montreal and New York at the end of this month. So my Kishi will actually, for once, be useful to me.
That's
But
why
for
you got
me,
it.
yeah, but for me, it's like it's one of them things. I bought a key sheet because for Stadia, and then the pandemic happened, so it's like I never went anywhere for like 2 years.
None of us did.
So I was like, well, I don't really have much use for this at the moment. But anyway, for me, it's basically been Zelda and then Planet of Lana. Bit of FIFA, which is just a perpetual thing. But let's not dwell on that, actually. Let's get straight into it, Chris. Would you like to introduce us to
the excellently exuberant, excavated Xbox expose, aka the news?
The news. And as always, a news section is brought to you by our Helix Heroes, which you can become for as little as 99p over on youtube.com/Helix Plays Games, where you get early access to some of our shows, such as Talking to PS and Luna Listening. You get custom emojis to use in the chat and our gratitude. So thank you very much. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, great time to join as well. If you're watching this on the Monday, you get Talking to PS and Luna Listening. So this is like the best time of the month or the year to potentially join, because you're getting 2 new shows and all the other traditional perks. So we do appreciate it.
Indeed. Apologies up front here, because I think me and Chris, we both have a bit of a cold, so if one of us accidentally coughs into the mic, I know we've just recorded Talking to the PS a few times when, you know, when you talk and then just a cough comes and it just catches you off guard. I didn't manage to mute the mic, so sorry for people listening to Talking to the PS tomorrow.
There's a few times in my intro where I'm like, when I've been talking for too long, like either I'm introducing a new segment or an element of the show, and I'm like, I can feel it coming up. It's like, right, fight it, and then pass it over, mute, cough, done. But I think we did quite well. We did quite well, but just in case, like, we were accidentally coughing the mic during the show. But anyway, starting off the news section, Xbox Showcase. So it is this weekend. It is on Sunday. It is, I believe, it's at 6 p.m. BST. Or it's, I think it's 10 a.m. Pacific time, at 7 p.m. Central European time. We will be live streaming it. Yeah. We'll get all the... I think by the time the show goes live, we'll probably have all the scheduled streams lined up ready to go, just so you can check in on the channel and be able to see when we'll be going live. It makes it a bit easier for you. And it's easy for us, to be honest, because all the time zone...
Yeah, it was like...
jiggly, that's all over the place.
I've got them all on my Google Calendar, so I know what I'm doing already. But I was like, yeah. But,
well, Richie, this must be the biggest Xbox showcase ever, arguably.
Of our channel's history.
That, and also probably a little bit more important for Microsoft, if I'm honest, and Phil Spencer after the last few, I was going to say months, but in some regards it's been...
They've had a bit of a kicking over the last 2 months. Like, let's be fair. And it's been relatively deserved, like Redfall.
It's their own fault, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you see all the stuff that came out of Redfall this week, actually, about saying...
Yeah, it's not in the news for this, but we can touch on it. It's like, what was it? There was stuff like it wasn't the game they wanted to make. There's a lot of the staff at Arcane left because they didn't want to make that game. It's like... The
biggest crux of it, was that when ZeniMax a few years ago wanted to make a pivot into games as a service... And I think we see ramifications of that happening with WB. That's why we got Gotham Knights. That's why Suicide Squad's a bit of a mess. And yeah, we kind of seen with ZeniMax,
Fallout 76.
They went to Arcane and obviously said, like, let's make a game. This is the plan. They wanted it to be single player, and then they're like, no, we need some kind of microtransactions were in Redfall originally, and they wanted to take the studio, make a multiplayer game that could be monetized. And a lot of the staff, of course, had done Prey and Dishonored beforehand. They didn't really want to do this, but it was kind of pushed on them to tweak the game and make this. And a lot of the left, so I think it was about 3/4 of the workforce have moved on to new roles or left the business since then. Which
since
then Microsoft,
the conception to the release. Yeah.
Microsoft then came and obviously acquired ZeniMax and Bethesda Studios and all the things under that umbrella, including Avalanche. Avalanche? Arcane. Sure. I don't know why I changed. I don't know why my brain switched that one. Yeah, sorry, Arcane. And then a lot of the staff who were around hoping Microsoft would go, you know what, retweak this to a single-player game, shift focus, forget about this, forget about that, scrap the game completely was a lot of the conversation that went around. And then it turned out, as Phil Spencer confirmed in his interview with Kind of Funny Games, he was
too hands off.
He was too hands off, and he basically just went, yeah, you keep doing what you're doing, same with Bethesda, we'll get to you when we get to you. And evidently, Redfall came to fruition, and it was not the game anyone wanted.
Do you think
from both developers, Microsoft, Xbox, the fan base. and it was just flung out to Game Pass, and it kind of leaves me to believe that Arcane is just the shell of its former studio now. And with the Redfall news and the backlash, it's almost like Microsoft have inherited a bit of a dud studio now. Is Arcane is it literally name alone now? If 3/4 of your workforce have left, what element of the previous titles like Prey and Dishonored, where is that DNA even there anymore? And is it just now just a brand name that's been tainted by the release of Redfall?
It depends on the nature of the people left, but I think it's a fair statement, to be honest, because you can't lose 3/4 of your staff and have it not impact your studio, especially in a creative industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not talking about people who are just there to just type numbers into spreadsheets who are very potentially easily replaceable. These are making creative decisions, coming up with creative solutions for problems, pitching ideas, like producing the visuals, designing the characters, the music. This is the sort of people they've lost.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's a bit naive, actually, of Phil Spencer to be that hands-off. It's almost when, Arcane, them guys are great, let them get on with it, and probably not noticed until
everyone
it's
at the
too
studio
late
doesn't want to do what they're doing.
The amount of turnover in the studio, and like...
Why are they leaving?
I think he alluded to that in a way when on the Kind of Funny XCast interview, where he was talking about how he's learned them lessons, and with Starfield he has been a bit more hands-on. Yeah.
So it might just be too late for them, which again, all of that negativity, as we said, is why this Xbox Showcase...
I believe in
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of faith in them. And again, it's two people who are quite new to the ecosystem. I'm excited to see what the future of Microsoft and Xbox is. Like, I cannot wait to see these first-party games at the forefront. Because let's face it, Richie, since we started this show, and since we both got on the Xbox bandwagon with Game Pass and such, we haven't really witnessed what I would say is a Xbox first-party studio AAA title. We've had Grounded, we've had Redfall, and a couple of little things in between, like Hi-Fi Rush and stuff, but we've not had a Gears of War. We've not had a Halo game. We've not had whatever they're going to showcase off at this Sunday.
Yeah, we've launched the show into what it seems to be a bit of a lull for Xbox first party, and outside the more passion projects like Hi-Fi Rush, like Grounded, like Pentiment, it's been few and far between, and the ones that have come, it's been a Redfall situation. So it's not been nothing. Even things like Halo Infinite is never really got to where they wanted it to be. But yeah, let's not talk about Xbox past, because this is about the showcase predictions. What do you most want to see? We'll start there.
I want to see a solid showing. I think Microsoft in the past, the showcase they did last summer was where they said, this is what's coming in the next 18, 12 months, I think was the window, and then several other games got pushed back out of that window. So hopefully they'll be smart enough not to put a definitive time frame on what they show off this announcement. I just kind of want to see what all these studios Microsoft are working on. What they need to put some dates on some games. I think the biggest thing is everything's been pushed back, and a lot of Xbox fans, and I know old and new, are out there going, it's always next year. Next year will be the big year for Xbox. Next year will be the big year for Xbox. I feel like we've been saying that since 2013 now.
Yeah, but next year never comes.
It's been a decade now, and a lot of these studios they acquired, a lot of the legacy studios, they should be starting to show the fruits of their labours, essentially. And I think there's a lot of titles that will be shown off, new, and I want to see some actual solid dates on them. I think obviously Starfield we know about, Redfall's gone.
Starfield has its own showcase entirely on the back of this, so we know that's going to be there. So that I don't want to talk too much about Starfield, because it's literally they've went, hey, we're doing a showcase and Starfield. So
it's they know it's big enough, or they're putting it as like its tentpole thing. Like, does Halo even get its own directs usually? I don't think it does off the back of it. So Starfield is like, all their eggs are in the basket on Starfield, and especially after Redfall, that's kind of the big focus point. But I think, separate to this, from the Starfield thing, I just want to see something that's going to excite me. So I'm going to jump in on day one, and I want something to get its hooks in me. So I'm playing Starfield for like a month plus straight, because that is the kind of the downside to Game Pass is I feel like I can jump around a little bit more. And all the Xbox stuff, me and you, I think, have both touched on, is like I've dabbled in stuff. I've played a lot more variety of games I've ever played of. Like, we've checked out State of Decay. We played through the first Halo game, and it's great that it exists, but I've not had anything that I've continually, perpetually played right through to the end.
I've not played an Xbox game yet since I've owned my Xbox, where I've been sat at work thinking, I want to get home from work so I can go and play that.
It's been great for playing like FIFA and a little bit of Grounded here and there and Hi-Fi Rush. And
the platform's great. I actually think,
undoubtedly,
in terms of what the platform offers, is probably better than what Sony offers. But when you look at Game Pass and cloud gaming, it definitely beats PlayStation Plus.
Oh, undoubtedly.
And then hardware-wise, it's basically comparable. Maybe not for me because I've got an S, but that was my choice. Like, I can't judge the performance of the game when I've literally bought the cheaper hardware.
We're not
decision.
really performance snobs, you and me, anyway.
Yeah, I use a 1080p monitor. It's like, I'm not... The benefit of a Xbox Series X is going to be lost on my hardware anyway.
Exactly. But in terms of the actual games I'd like to see, the biggest one, the outlier for me, really is Indiana Jones.
I knew that was coming.
It just absolutely is. Like, I'm going to see the movie with my wife when it comes out later this week, hopefully. We're currently working through the Indiana Jones movies.
Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford's retirement plan.
Yeah, exactly. That is the name of the movie. They're all available now on Disney Plus as of the back end of May, so I can just watch them freely on streaming services. Yep. So
I haven't seen them since I was a kid.
Oh man,
this is the Back to the Future situation for me, where I watched them as a kid and I put off watching them again for a long time because it's where they wouldn't hold up.
The first three, King of the Crystal Skull, maybe not so much, but I bet in hindsight it's not as bad as people remembered. But I digress. I just want to see what this is. All we've got so far is a teaser of let's do a slow pan across the table. There's the whip, there's the journal, there's the hat, little bit of the music. Like, let me see what this is. Like, if you can confirm it's third person. Like, I was saying to my wife last night, we were watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, and she loves the Uncharted games. Like, they're one of the few video games my wife actually plays, thoroughly enjoys, and loves to bits as much as me. And I said to her, would you play an Indiana Jones game that was like Uncharted? And, like, hands down, she's like, yes, immediately.
Has your wife finished Golden Abyss?
She's played half of it on the Vita, but...
Okay, so she's technically played more Uncharted games than me, then.
She's finished... Have you played Lost Legacy yet?
Yeah, I've got the platinum.
You got... Oh, good.
I've played 1, 2, 3, 4 and Lost Legacy.
And that's my hope and dream, is that Indiana Jones, it becomes Xbox's Uncharted. Thanks for covering me for that cough there. But yeah, get me the music. I really, really want them to get Harrison Ford's likeness, but I feel like that might be a stretch. And again, follow-up question from my wife. I did say, if it didn't look like Harrison... just get a voice actor in at this point. Because they need a younger Indiana Jones. They don't need an 82-year-old Harrison Ford gruffly running through his lines in the studio. Get a voice actor in who can do it. But yeah, even if they don't do that, I feel like if the rest of the game is right, if you've got the music, because they need the theme tune, they really need this is an Indiana Jones game if they don't have a theme tune.
That would be like Star Wars not having Star Wars themes. It would be like Harry Potter not having that.
Exactly.
It's just nuts to not have it.
Showcase to me, Machine Games, I love the Wolfenstein games. What are you going to do? And just don't ruin it by putting a first person. I don't want to see a whip flailing around in first person and a gun and his hat falling off me having to pick it up.
But that's the thing, though. Machine Games are known for first person and doing them very well. Is like, is this one of them things where, like, as we talked about, like Arcane and Redfall, where this is a studio that is being doing something that isn't really up their wheelhouse? Is this be a problem? Or is this a case of, you know what, this is them being, it's a passion project, we want to do something different? I think it's probably the latter, really, isn't it? Like,
this is a Guerrilla Killzone.
Yeah.
Switching over to Horizon. First to third person, insanely successful. They've just been given one of the biggest movie IPs of all time, just to add a little bit of weight to it. But yeah, this is the one for me that's just got me excited, just because it's a known quantity in the brand. I've never played an Indiana Jones game since like back in probably NES or something.
There hasn't really been. It's like Uncharted kind of went, Indiana Jones, that's good. Shall we pay for likeness? Nah, let's just do our own thing, and then did it very well.
Better than Tomb Raider. It's all went full circle. But Microsoft, for like one of the reasons I think what's kept me away from this ecosystem for so long is the lack of third person. It's really weird, but Sony's flagship titles are all third person action adventure games, and Microsoft's are all first person action adventure games for the most part. You need a mix, and I think this could be the beginning of a great mixed bag. And we know we're also going to see some Hellblade. So similar thing, like you need to have a bit more divergence away from your just first-person shooters.
And this is Machine Games, so they're under the ZeniMax grouping, where lately I felt like every game that's come out of that grouping has always felt very samey.
Mm-hmm.
Like breaking away and doing, you know what, we're going to do a third-person game. It's going to be a third-person linear action adventure, story narrative driven. It's like that could be very good for like the Bethesda ZeniMax brand overall, never mind just Xbox.
Yeah, and the mechanics work so good for a video game. You've got the puzzles, you've got the weapons, like the whip to traverse, or like the hook, grapple or whatever, grapple hook. You've got that. The grapple. You've got that. You've got the music. It's just, and you just basically get to see the world. So you could create some gorgeous environments. And again, that's why it translated so well to Tomb Raider and Uncharted by proxy of that. So yes, big hopes for this game. How about yourself?
The one, I think Hellblade's got to be there. I don't want to dwell on Hellblade because we've talked about it a lot, but I think that's the one I've really got my eye on in terms of what can like Microsoft do to really get it back. It seems like beyond Starfield, I think it's Hellblade is the next thing I'm looking at, because we kind of know what Starfield's going to be to a certain degree. So then I think they need something else that isn't a Bethesda game, and that's why I think Hellblade's perfectly positioned.
Yeah, I haven't played the first Hellblade. It was always one that was on my radar on PlayStation, and then weirdly enough, when the studio got acquired, I didn't have an Xbox at the time, so in my brain I thought, well, I'm not going to play Hellblade because if I really enjoy it, I can't play the sequel because I don't have an Xbox. Now I don't have that problem. So my intention is, if we get a date for Hellblade, I want to play through the first one using Game Pass and cloud gaming or something, and most likely probably on the channel. And we have a few Xbox things actually lined up. We should say I want to do a Rise Son of Rome anniversary stream because it's coming up on 10 years this year.
Do you think we could get Rise 2 here?
That's the kind of my hope. I was like, Hellblade 2, yes, we'll go back and play Hellblade. Same for Rise. Can they do it? The kind of cult following nostalgia for Rise is coming around, and the kind of general consensus is similar to the Order 86 on PlayStation is great game, needed more of it. Gorgeous visuals, needed more of it. In fact, the visuals for Rise still hold up a lot better than some other games today. Just like the Order, a lot of the visuals from that hold up a lot better than some games I've played on my PS5.
The problem is, it was like, he's like a $60, $70 premium title that is only going to be 10 hours, and there isn't really that much in terms of replayability.
Yeah.
It's like,
but now you've got Game Pass.
Yeah. So yeah,
it was third person. This could, by now, after a decade, Richie, Rise should realistically be into its fourth entry if they'd stuck with it. But they launch a new console, new IP, graphics look gorgeous, push the power of the Xbox One, and then they just abandoned it because it didn't do gangbuster numbers, you'd imagine. But then I blame it down on the sales of the Xbox One because it was probably a pack-in for a lot of people. Like, you get your console, you go out and you buy all these new games to test out and push it to its limits. And because the Xbox One sold really bad, by proxy, so did Rise. So again, it got abandoned, but I don't think it should have done. Similar to a couple of other games that we'll talk about, hopefully.
Yeah, I think next, let's talk about Contraband, because this is a game I completely forgot it was even in the works.
I was going to say, tell me about Contraband, because as you say that, I have no memory of this game.
Me either. It's by Avalanche, and there's not much information out there actually about it. Like, there's a trailer up now for it, but it's a corpse smuggler's paradise set in a fictional world of 1970s Bane. I really couldn't find that much info about it. It was announced in 2021 at an Xbox and Bethesda showcase, and it's basically went quiet since.
Okay.
So this is one where I think, right, it's been 2 years since it was announced. It's time to show us what the game is.
Sounds like some of us need to remind us, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I really don't know beyond that. And oddly, on the YouTube official Xbox channel, they've tagged Metro Exodus. You know, when you can, like, when you send them a YouTube video and goes, what game were you playing?
Yeah.
That seems an odd one, but okay, it's there. Avowed. Avowed's another one where I think it's time to see a bit more of. Like, It feels like Avowed's one of them games I keep forgetting's a thing.
Well, they've only shown off CGI cinematic trailers so far. It reminds me very much of the new Final Fantasy game.
2 years ago it was announced.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But because we've not seen any gameplay of it...
It's a first-person game. It looks very much kind of in your like Skyrim style. Magic, swords, arrows, and that sort of stuff. It looks like a modern take on something like a Skyrim, which could be really, really cool. But it's like it's time for detail.
Yeah, we need to actually be able to see what this game is. It could be right on my street, but without knowing much. Again, Obsidian have done some great stuff in the past. Grounded was their last entry, obviously. So Grounded was their smaller title, similar to Hi-Fi Rush for Tango Gameworks.
Yeah.
This is their big AAA next entry. But yeah, other than that flying arrow in the trailer and then all the kind of magic and chaos that ensued, who knows? But then I still have this issue, Richie, of the first-person element. I don't know why I always get so hung up on this, but I feel like I would enjoy Avowed way more if I could see the rest of my character.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said that if it is kind of like a Skyrim style, an Elder Scrolls style game, though, you can play them games in third person. But when you go into third person, it's clearly not designed for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think like there's nothing wrong with a first person game because I'm like, yeah, I prefer third person. But I think it's the lack of third person on the platform that makes you kind of go. When everything's first person, especially from like the ZeniMax group of studios, it's like, do you have something else maybe for us? Which is why I think with Indiana Jones, hope it's third person. And yeah, I just think it's just one of them things. It changes things up a bit because I don't want to play the same game over and over and over again with a different skin on it.
I think especially at the showcase when you've got back-to-back trailers. We actually criticised the PlayStation showcase the other week because it felt like you could have took 3-4 of their new first party studios, put them all together in one trailer, took away all the branding, and told someone it was the same game. And chances are you would have convinced a big chunk of them.
I think it was the Summer Games Fest last year where everything seemed to be like either
Sci-fi,
cyberpunk inspired or like survival horror.
Yeah,
it's like everything was like yeah. What I think the best thing for showcase, if at a showcase, especially when it's a platform based showcase, Jeff Keighley gets a bit of a pass because he can only work with what the publishers give him. Mm-hmm. With an Xbox Showcase, you have a bit more control of what you're doing there, and you can kind of go, you know what, guys, what we need is variety in the showcase. Otherwise, things do blend into one. Yeah. Especially in a rumored 2-hour showcase.
Yeah, it could do. But aside from that, yeah, I've got big hopes for Avowed. As someone who didn't really put that much time into Skyrim or Fallout, this could be, because of the setting, the fantasy, I'm much more inclined as a huge Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones fan and stuff. Like, this is more my wheelhouse, which is why you keep trying to sell me on this year's Final Fantasy. So, like, this is, like, probably the time to jump in and try that out.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy's third person as well.
Well, that too. That's obviously a big reason, yeah. But yeah. Avowed, again, the great thing with the showcase is we are going to see more detail of these. We're going to see more of Hellblade, hopefully a date for Hellblade. We're going to see more of Avowed, hopefully gameplay. Indiana Jones, we're going to see gameplay. Like, Phil Spencer has been bigging up the showcase, whether intentionally or not. When you're so far kind of on the back foot, the next move, it has to be a positive one, and I don't think anyone at Microsoft wants this to be anything less than stellar.
Yeah, I mean, this showcase, what they need some big hitters coming out, date some things where we need them, or at least I'd take Avowed as 2024. That would be same with something like Contraband. Like, okay, now we have a loose idea of when to kind of expect this. That's fine. Yeah. Obviously, Starfield's going to have its own thing, so it's like that's going to be a big part of it. But again, 2 hours, even if they do a solid hour on Starfield, you've got an hour to cover a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I think Hellblade will get a date for later this year.
Yeah, I think so.
November, October, I reckon.
Yeah, a few other stuff. There's been hints that maybe Psychonauts 3.
Yeah,
was it the Australian Xbox Twitter?
Yeah,
something.
They post like out emoji teasers, and I always wonder like, why would you give that to the Australian branch of Xbox to tease a new
because
thing.
it makes the show from stuff like this.
But yeah, and then again, they do things a little bit differently down under, so maybe they're so far in the future, time zone wise, that they already know the announcement is out and coming. Psychonauts, of course, the Psychonauts 2 was multi-platform. We should point out it was owned by Microsoft, but you can play Psychonauts 2 and 1 on PlayStation. So
critically acclaimed as well.
It was, yeah. It was in some of the Game of the Year nominations. That's one of those games I put akin to the likes of like Ratchet and Clank, where I've never played them in the past, but I know I could sink some hours into it and I enjoy a really good, fun story.
Yeah.
And Psychonauts, again, one of the problems with GamePass is it's one of them on my radar. I just need to prioritise when and where. Depending on the turnaround time, I think it might be a little too early for Psychonauts 3.
If it's an announcement, though. Was the Psychonauts
but yeah,
2
exactly.
last
It could
year?
be there.
If they're going, yeah, we're making it free, it's going to be 25, 26.
Yeah. I could see an announcement, but I think we're a while off before we actually see it.
And I could see this being we've actually pushed up the announcement to kind of take a bit of pressure off Xbox, to kind of go, hey, here's this game that you love, we're making the next one. Like, so now, just to take the heat off a little bit, especially because they're coming into this and like from a weak position, like, just like a splash screen with like the title card and just go, that's it, that's all you're getting. Maybe a quick like little anime, no more than like a minute or something on it, like keep it really tight. But yeah, anything else you think might be there? Because there's absolutely still tons of stuff on our list that I've put together.
I think we'll see a quick tease of the Age of Mythology reboot, remaster, reforged, I think it might be called. Just going off the back of all the success I've seen recently with Age of Empires and the remasters of those games. We know it's been announced, but it was just kind of like a little light teaser. So the fact that we'll see, hopefully, like a full-on confirmation of what it looks like, what it plays like. That's always a big one for the PC nerds out there like myself. And then I think in terms of
nerds,
I know, yeah. In terms of the other titles, I don't think we'll see anything from the likes of Elder Scrolls 6.
No, not till after Starfield. That's next year. I think you start pushing for that.
Depending on the legs what Starfield has, if it's as big as they say, I think we might be waiting longer.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you don't start pushing for Elder Scrolls 6 until you got Starfield out in the world.
Yeah, completely. Unless the team split somehow into two, it's a long whiles off that one. And then by proxy, so is the next Fallout. I don't think we'll hear anything from those. Maybe an update for Fallout 76.
Unless I've seen an idea where Fallout could go to Obsidian, because New Vegas was made by Obsidian, not by Bethesda. That could be a way, and Obsidian have only... The last games they made have all been kind of smaller passion projects.
Well, Avowed is obviously imminent, hopefully, so they'll be able to move
Avalanche.
on beyond Avowed.
That's about Avalanche, not Obsidian, yeah.
Is it?
Yep, I think so.
I could have sworn Avowed was...
I'll double check, but... No, it's Obsidian, sorry, yeah. Yeah, so I doubt it's Obsidian then, unfortunately. Because a Fallout made by Obsidian, it's just like, yeah, okay.
Once Avowed's out, there's nothing to say they haven't started pre-production on something different. I think there's been a lot of rumours around a Vegas remaster or a sequel. So
a remaster or a remake of New Vegas or Fallout 3 could be great, but I don't think you're giving that to Obsidian to do. You're giving that to a support studio, one of the other studios. You want Obsidian. Obsidian are at the best when they're focused on the narrative stuff. And would Obsidian want to remake a game they've already made?
Well, I don't think it could be a remake. I think a sequel, a straight-up sequel.
A sequel. I could see a sequel.
Yeah. So, I think we'll get updates on some titles like Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have any nostalgia for this title. I've got a lot of nostalgia for GoldenEye, and I know everyone says Perfect Dark is the better GoldenEye, but without the James Bond IP, it doesn't tick as many boxes for me. Is it Joanna Dark, I think, is the protagonist off the top of my head? And I know it's beloved by a lot of people, but they could wow me if they come out and show me something. But again, it's another first-person shooter. So, like, does it do enough to distinguish itself amongst the library of Xbox games that we've already got coming out that are first-person shooters? It needs to do that.
I think it could, if it's like a full reboot of the series. You know what? Let's take this IP, that's beloved IP, and what would that look like with a modern engine? More like a level-based shooter rather than like an open world sort of thing. Like,
and they're not juggling with the Bond IP to hold them back at all with this one. I know the music's fantastic in it as well, so it's got a lot of stuff going for it.
Yeah, I could see that. Like it's definitely one of them. It's interesting to see what they will actually do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there could be something really, really cool. A few things I think are almost guaranteed to be there. Minecraft to be there in some way, shape, or form, because it always is.
Yeah, there's always the teaser. I mean, they own it, so yeah. I think Minecraft Legends maybe will get like a new drop of content that came out just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it could be Legends, it could be base Minecraft, it could be a spin-off. There'll be something Minecraft in here somewhere. Probably. Yeah, I'd be surprised if there isn't.
I don't think we see anything from Tango, just because of Ghostwire and Hi-Fi Rush, both quite recent.
Sea of Thieves probably going to be here in some shape or form.
An update, another season drop. The big outliers that have suffered a little bit. Stalker 2 suffered because of the Ukraine war, so obviously no fault of their own. That I think has been pushed back. The devs have been moved all over the place, and obviously real world problems aside, that might get a final lock-in date release. That'll be nice to see. Yeah,
I think if they're going to do a release on that one, that's where you have to come out and go, you need to address it properly, not just drop a trailer. You need someone going, look, we're aware of this, blah, blah, blah. Or if you've made any changes to kind of, or you're just going, like, whatever it is that you're doing with that game, you need to, like, address more than just a trailer, I think.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah,
this is like the political situation, which is not their fault at all. But
no, but again, first-person shooter. It's like, what is Stalker 2 doing different? Like, again, what I will give it is it doesn't look like a Bethesda title. It's got more of a Metro vibe to it, because it's the heart of Chernobyl is the episode that it's within. The location that's within, sorry. But it does have like quite a cool vibe to it, so I'm very intrigued by Stalker 2 to see what it looks like and plays like. Over back to the other studios that we've got. Forza's a shoe-in. Yeah, it's a shoe-in. Motorsport is due out this year. Remember, this was one of the titles that was supposed to be in Phil's 12-month window. We're now past that window. We've not seen it. So I think, that's been delayed a little bit, but I do think we'll see it before the end of the year. And I think we've said these titles are evergreen. It can come out whenever. And as long as it's not going up against another racing game, it's probably safe to say it's okay. It'll be gorgeous. It'll be stunning. And I think the Forza team, the last 8 games they put out have all been top-rated 8, 9, 10 out of 10 games. Game of the year, Forza Horizon 5 was Game of the Year 2-3 years ago, I believe it was. For some, I think IGN give it their Game of the Year, actually, which says a lot about a racing game to get the Game of the Year is a big, big move. Obviously, this is Motorsport, so it's more the simulation version. It'll look gorgeous, it'll look stunning, it'll rate really, really well. Obviously, we're not huge racing fans, so we'll enjoy it for a stream. But it's a good one to have as part of your roster library, just like PlayStation has Gran Turismo. And then finally, I think we have to see whatever the next big thing is for... We're probably on the Gears side of the track right now. I think Halo is a little bit pushed back as a 343 and Infinite. But Gears has been quiet for quite some time. And I think the rumour is we'll either see a Gears trilogy remaster of some sort or a quadruple remaster, like a Gears Master Chief collection, if you get what I mean. Like a collection, like the equivalent of the Master Chief collection for Gears of War. I think we'll see that in some degree, or possibly an announcement for a new entry in the franchise. Because that's arguably Xbox's other big tentpole.
I mean, it seems like this is potentially quite stacked with all the stuff. I mean, there's even
it should be.
There's Fable as well. Like that feels like it should be here as well.
It should,
and
yeah.
I would kind of put Gears aside, potentially for time on this one, if it's not anywhere near. Because if you're going, here's some stuff about Avowed, he's Indiana Jones, he's Perfect Dark, he's like Minecraft, Sea of Thieves, Forza, Starfield, like Psychonauts, Hellblade, Contraband, Fable, Age of Mythology. That's a stacked showcase. And is anyone clamouring for a new Gears game anytime soon? Let us know in the comments, because I have no idea.
As an outsider, I would argue that people are clamouring for a new Gears game over a new Fable game.
You reckon?
Yeah. I just don't know, within our friend group or our social circles, I don't know anyone who actually has that much vested interest in Fable, whereas I feel like everyone in our friend group has played some version of Gears at some point, whether it's just round their mates doing horde mode or chipping away at the story. I just don't think Fable has that allure that some people, again, no offense to people who enjoy it, I just don't have any conscious... Again, I think I said a few shows back, if you told me Fable 4's coming out, I don't know what in my mind's eye it looks like. I think Rob was the same, actually. He didn't have anything to attach.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's because it's a fantasy action-adventure game. Where I think that, in terms of what Xbox have traditionally done, that would be something that stands out in the library more. With Gears, I always struggle to envision what Gears is, because it just feels like, in my mind, another standard Xbox bro shooter thing. I know it's more than that.
Oh, it's a lot.
I know Rob definitely loves Gears, but I don't know. It's just never like, I've never looked at a Gears game and go, it's never jumped out at me.
Well, that's another one on our dock, isn't it? For what we want to do. Ideally, we want to go back and play through Gears 1 together.
Yeah, like we did with like
Halo, and just wet our feet with the beginning of Xbox, essentially, because Gears is one of those stapled franchises. And again, I could be completely wrong, but just that's my take on it. Is I feel like there's more energy built up behind Gears than there is Fable. Yeah. But hopefully, we'll see them both. And it'll be a stellar showcase. And we'll sit back and go, Fable look phenomenal. Like, I've not played one before, but what they showcase off me makes me want to get in on the front door. And a lot of people nowadays are kind of like that with Diablo this week. Never played a Diablo game before, but there's just something about it. Whether the timing's right, the gameplay's right, the reviews are right. People are talking about Diablo. Yeah,
well, let's talk about Diablo, because that is one of the things I want to move on to. Diablo 4 reviews are out, and Chris, it looks like it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's reviewing crazy well. Again, as I just said, never played a Diablo game before. And I'm hearing you have... Which one have you played before?
I've played Diablo 2 and Diablo 3.
Diablo 2, Diablo 3. And so you hyped for this one, or is this...
I'm not. Because, for me, it's a style of game I've moved on from entirely. You know, like, how, like, looter shooters... Like, you kind of get better loot so you can fight better enemies, so you can get better loot and rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Diablo's kind of like that, where I loved, like, playing through Diablo 3 for the first time you play the game. That story they tell is fantastic. The world that you're exploring, it's great. Gameplay, amazing. Then you get to the end of the game, and then you defeat the final boss. Then you put it on the higher difficulty, keep all your gear, and then play the game again to get better gear and rinse and repeat. And I very quickly burned out my second playthrough. I was like, I don't want to do this again. It's no longer interesting. It feels like just bigger numbers. I know there's a lot of stuff further in the game when you can get to like proper endgame content. But it's kind of like, well, I'm just not into this. Like, I like to play through it once. And that's it, then move on. Like, because I'm very much a story gamer. So I was like, once I've played through the story, like, why am I sticking around?
So is there no nostalgic part that's pulled in? Like, usually like 10 out of 10 reviews up and down the board, and then it's something you've got nostalgia for and you've enjoyed them in the past. Is that enough to pull you in, or are you just that deep in Zelda world right now you just don't have the time?
I just don't have the time. And I think it's a style of game I've just moved on from. Like, the same reason I've moved on from MMOs and stuff, like, and first person shooters largely. It's like, it had a point where this is the sort of game I would be up, like, maybe 10, like I said with Skyrim, 10 years ago, absolutely all about this. Mm-hmm. But I'm not that guy anymore. I've moved on. I've interest in games is shifted. The 10 out of 10 does turn my head a little bit. Like, it's currently sitting at a meta score of 92. So it's like, it's game of year conversation, absolutely 100%. Mm-hmm.
That's tasty.
But I just find myself going, that's great. Like...
You're obviously... what's the other game that they keep resetting that's not out yet? It's got the big squid octopus guy.
Squid octopus?
Davy Jones. It was in beta and then it finally came out. But they kept deleting your save file.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate, yeah. It's like that, right?
Not really.
No, it looks like
it.
No,
Baldur... Yeah, it's kind of got like top-down, isometric kind of view to it. But
powers and spells and points.
Diablo is more... like action-based, like whereas Baldur's Gate is more it's more party-based, it's more like strategic than Diablo. Right. And Diablo has like MMO elements to it where you can play like Baldur's Gate multiplayer, but it is very much story-driven single-player experience.
You know what, looking at all these games still and talking about the showcase, I can't wait until just I retire in old age and just have all day every day to just like get rid of all responsibility. Just like, you know what, I'm old. I'm just going to stay in this chair, play games all day.
You know what? This is a game where if it was on Game Pass, I'd absolutely do a first look on it. But because it's not, thank you, CMA.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's Blizzard, yeah, Blizzard.
Yet,
but it's not coming to Game Pass. It's not announced to Game Pass, so it means like, well, do I want to pay whatever the 60, 70 quid it is for a game that I'll probably get maybe 10 hours out of? When I've already got this year at the moment, I haven't played Jedi Survivor. I'm nowhere near finished Zelda. I want to go back to Octopath 2. I want to play through Final Fantasy 7 again before Final Fantasy 7 comes out. I want to play through this Final Fantasy 16 on the horizon. There's just more stuff that's taking my interest, even if this is arguably... This could be Game of the Year. This could beat Zelda.
I mean, yeah, it's got Pure Xbox, give it a 90, IGN, give it a 9 out of 10, Games Radar, 10 out of 10, Eurogamer...
The quality is clearly there. It just comes down to personal preference, I think, at this point. It's like, I think what we can say about this game, though, is if you love Diablo, here you go. Like, you're going to have a great fucking time here.
Looking at the games for this list as well, it's not like... Looking at the year we've had so far, like Street Fighter, we mentioned it on last week's shows, 89. Yeah. Overall, we got the Dead Space remake. We've got Hi-Fi Rush already. Hogwarts Legacy came out. Age of Empires Definitive Edition.
That came out last year, 88. I need to play that game. It's still installed on my Xbox.
Jedi Survivor. We've got Final Fantasy coming up. There's just and everything they announced at the showcase that we don't know about. But yeah, Diablo, add it to the pile of games because it's reviewing super well. And if you're a fan of it or you're waiting for it, or even if you're not a veteran of the game, it seems like there's something for everybody. So
you know what? You know what would be absolutely hilarious if Age of Empires 2 wins Game of the Year? Because the Definitive Edition came out in January. And it's got an 86 Metascore. It absolutely should be in the mix. It won't be because it's basically a remaster of an old game. And there's plenty of other titles. And I don't think it realistically should be. But it'd be hilarious.
It should be a separate category.
Yeah. Remake or remaster.
Maybe Jeff will have it at the Game Awards this year.
Yeah. Planet of Lana, Chris, you've played it.
You've played it?
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Because people see me play it.
Yeah, the first look's up on our channel right now. You and Rob jumped in and played it, and it was one that it released on Game Pass last week. Loads of good reviews. It's doing quite well across the board too. It's in a lot, I think, of people's books for... Indie Game of the Year? Probably not Game of the Year, but definitely Indie Game of the Year in conversation. And I likened it to Little Nightmares in terms of like the gameplay style meets War of the Worlds was my approach to it. Yeah. You start off as a cute little character, a beautiful art choice in this game. Just the vibrancy, the colours that it shows off. It's a 2D puzzle platformer in essence. And I say War of the Worlds because spoilers for the actual game, it's in all the trailers and stuff. But yeah, you start off as a character, you're there with your sister. Then these like spider robots land on the Earth, very War of the Worlds style. Start capturing people into these little pod baskets, take them away. You as our protagonist get left out. Alana as the protagonist, of course. And then you have to basically figure out your way through the world to rescue your sister, solving puddles, hopping over puddles, I guess. You meet a little cute character who's a cat called Mui, and he's cute as well, as your sidekick. Essentially helps you solve these puzzle mechanics. So send the cat up to here, pull on this string here, move this platform over to here. And I know I pointed out to you, Richie, I watched some of yours and Rob's live stream. I used mine with the backbone. So I know on tomorrow's episode of Talking the PS, you talk a little bit about how this game would be a perfect portable game because it's not too frenetic, it's not too action heavy. It's just puzzles, so you can work your way through it. But I think on my 6.7 inch phone with the backbone that I'm testing out for review, works brilliantly well, and it translates. The colours really pop on my OLED, Samsung AMOLED screen, I should say. And it plays great. I've played pretty much the same amount as you. So I give this game to you and Rob with the thumbnail and said, this is one we should check out for this week's live stream. You've played pretty much to the minute the exact same point I reached so far. What were your initial thoughts on it? Going in, I'm guessing, absolutely blind?
Yeah, I was pretty much blind going in. I'd heard of it, I'd seen the trailers and stuff, so I think we'd even covered it on XPass, with it being a Game Pass game. I think the way I'll sum up my intentions is, at the end of this month, I've got many flights to take. I can see myself sat in an airport for several hours in a bar, just, you know, when you go, I've got a 3-hour layover, and I'll play some Planet of Lana. I absolutely 100% expect to be sat in, like, JFK Airport or something, sat playing this game.
Well, it's only around 5 or 6 hours long as well.
Yeah,
so...
which makes it a nice... Because it's with the way it goes, it can go, okay, oh, there's a thing, put it away, move on, straight, dead easy. So I can see this being a fantastic game for me to play in that thing.
I mean, technically, we're both 1/3 through the game already now.
Yeah.
So
well,
just keep chipping away.
It might even be about halfway through, because I've seen people say it's like 4 to 6 hour sort of stuff. I played about 2 hours, a little under 2 hours. But yeah, like, so I was really enjoying it. It's quite chill. It's like me and Rob were just like talking, like, it's so beautiful, it's so pretty, the watercolor style. Like, it looks like there's some scenes where you literally go, you know what, I'd have that as a painting in my house.
Yeah, the actual thumbnail for the first look was hard to do, because when you Google Planet of Lana wallpaper or background, there's so many stunning visual shots of, like, the sky, the vegetation, animals, like the bright lights. Yeah, the visual elements of it are great. Yeah, absolutely. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's such a good little indie game, and the sounds, and again, it does a lot with very little dialogue. It's all just like, you call out the cat, you call out to your sister. There's sound effects, but and it's just more like they're just the relaxing music and the visuals that really create a fun little puzzle platformer. So yeah, I'd recommend anyone who's got Game Pass, check it out. It translates over to handheld if you've got a Razer Keysha or anything out there. Very, very good. I stream it through cloud gaming as well, because it again doesn't require any fast-paced movements. So it works perfectly fine via cloud as well. So Planet of Lana, check it out. Definitely going to be in some Game of the Year conversations for indie titles, I reckon.
Yeah. This holiday I'm going on, this is where cloud gaming is really going to be put to the test properly by me, because I've only really used cloud gaming for the most part here and at my work place. I haven't really used, occasionally a few bits in hotels and stuff, but not to any real extent. But because I'm going to, like, 2 different countries, I'm going through, like, I think I've gone through 5 different airports over the course of, like, a space of, like, a little over 2 weeks. So, like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of time to actually put cloud gaming through its paces a bit. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Also, the holiday's going to be nice.
Just that too, on the side.
Let's move on. A few stories to go through. There has been a bit of an update with the ABK deal, but it's not particularly interesting. Basically, just the appealing and trying to talk to, like, the CMA, and I think the Chancellor Exchequer's getting involved. But I don't want to bore us. Let's talk about OceanHorn 2. Have you ever played OceanHorn, Chris?
No, I do remember when the first one came out, and again, when we talk about, like, visuals and small titles getting that, like, that pop of colour, it was definitely one that stood out for a lot of people. Where fun game, smaller title, very Zelda inspired.
Oh,
like almost
it's
almost
like,
1-for-1 in some parts, even down to like the colours the main character wears in his hairstyle. Very select choice. If
you really like a traditional 3D Zelda experience and you don't want to buy a Switch, you buy OceanHorn.
Yeah. When the original came out, it was literally, if you want to play Zelda but on the Switch, yeah, get it on Xbox.
I've got OceanHorn on one of my platforms. I can't remember which one, and I never really fully played it. I played it a couple of hours, and it's like, I should play more of this game, and then never went back to. So I'm actually interested in this game because I am a big Zelda fan.
Yeah, well, the sequel had an Apple Arcade exclusivity as well.
Yeah.
So it had it has been out for a while, but it was kind of not lost, but it was stuck on Apple Arcade as opposed to a console. So they must have obviously got a decent bit of money to bring this title over. But read into it what you wish. But finally, it looks like it's been tweaked a little bit, targeting 4K 60. And
on the Series X and coming out this year.
So if you don't have Zelda or a Switch, then this could fill that gap.
It won't be coming to Game Pass, unfortunately, but it is confirmed as well to be coming to Xbox Play Anywhere. So if you have it on, if you've bought it through the Xbox Store on PC, you'll be able to play on your Xbox. Probably, if it's Play Anywhere, that does include cloud gaming, doesn't it?
Yeah, should do.
Yeah, so there you go. So I think this is actually even more important of an IP now than the first one, because how Zelda with Breath of the Wild they redesigned what Zelda is and how them games play. This now fills the slot that the traditional Zelda 3D experience from like Ocarina of Time to Skyward Sword did kind of fit into.
Yeah.
Where Nintendo, they've already announced that going forward, the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom style gameplay is what Zelda is going to be. Unless they do some other top-down, like Link Between Worlds sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Link to the Past, that sort of stuff. So it's like that. The original 3D like scope of how Zelda was designed is now OceanHorn. And it's almost like in that. It's basically in that category, almost on its own.
Good place to be.
Yeah.
But in terms of what's up next, Richie? What other games have we got?
Yeah, I was just about to transition next time.
I know, I saw. I was like,
Exoprimal. So Exoprimal, we've got a bit of an update on, and the update is Exoprimal looks like a dino-filled chaos in new extended preview. Hits Game Pass coming July.
Yeah, this is one for me that I think is going to be lost in the mix a little bit. It's Capcom's. It's going to be Capcom's Anthem is the vibe I'm getting from it. I think the visuals give off big Anthem vibes anyway to a degree. But like fighting dinosaurs and stuff could be cool. I know when it was teased, a lot of people thought, oh, it's Dino Crisis. We've got Dino Crisis finally. And then it was Exoprimal. So it's a... Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it.
It looks to me like somewhere between like The Division, like as you mentioned, like Anthem. I just worry it looks a bit just too generic sci-fi.
It certainly does, yeah. Visually it looks fun. You seem to fight more robots than dinosaurs in the gameplay showcase that they demonstrated in Capcom Asia. I think put out a 40-minute kind of deep dive breakdown. But it's got dinosaurs in, so it could kind of win people over.
Spiritual
with that
successor
element of it.
to Rock.
To a degree, yeah. You're fighting pterodactyls and stuff, but yeah, it strikes me a bit closer to Outriders. Outriders with dinosaurs, which could be fun on that premise.
It's a Game Pass game, though, so
that's true.
I think that is one of the things that's going to make it like stand up a bit, because I think if this wasn't a Game Pass game, a lot of people are going to look at it and go, it looks cool enough, like, maybe not. Like, where if it's Game Pass, I go, yeah, why not try it? But when I say like, it looks generic sci-fi, I think it's very hard to make sci-fi interesting. When sci-fi is interesting, it's fantastic. But it's so tropey that if you don't do anything to really make yourself stand out, I look at it and go, it just looks a bit... Same with fantasy, actually. Like, when it's done well, it can be amazing, but a lot of it sometimes just falls flat, and that's where my worries are. But
yeah, I'm watching them fight a Triceratops right now, which is a poor animal because it's a vegetarian. But in terms of what I'm
making
watching,
great games though, so
they have, yeah. Like they've had a boon at the moment. The UI looks a little bit messy for me, but again, yeah, Outriders meets dinosaurs. It's on Game Pass. I think it's definitely one we'll check out, and we'll probably have an absolute blast with it. So I won't make judgment just yet.
Yeah, let's round out the show then with what's coming to Game Pass this month. There are 7 games coming to Game Pass, starting from the 1st of June, so some of these games might already be out. This is what's been announced so far. We have Car Mechanic Simulator 2021, Slayers X, Terminal Aftermath, Vengeance of the Slayer, the game that couldn't stop being named, The Big Con, Amnesia the Bunker, Rune Factory 4 Special, Stacking, and Dordogene. How do you Dordogene? Any of them jump out here, Chris?
No, not really. I think this is a poor list. It's a lot of smaller games you'll never heard of, or titles you'll probably never buy. But I do think there's a rhyme and reason behind it, and I think that's at the showcase on Sunday. Yeah. They're going to drop a couple of either shadow drops or coming later this month. games.
Yeah, I should say the dates on these. Car Mechanic, Slayers X, and Big Carnivore are 1st of June, so that's already out. Amnesia, Room Factory, and Stacking are between... Amnesia's June 6th, Room Factory and Stacking June the 8th. Dodongene is June the 13th. So, there's nothing in the second half of the month.
The showcase is on the 11th, and the last game here is the 13th.
It's the 13th, yeah.
So, I'd say watch this space, because other than that, it's a bad month for Game Pass for June. There's no big hitters.
Especially when there's quite a few games leaving Game Pass, including Among Us, Bridge Constructor Portal, Chorus, Cricket 2022, Generation Zero, Man-Eater, Mortal Shell, Naraka, Blade Point, Serious Sam 4, The Hunter, Call of the Wild, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, and Total War 3 Kingdoms. Mm-hmm. And I would say that list of games is the stronger list, and that's the games that are leaving.
Yeah, exactly. So watch this space. I think come next Sunday we'll know a lot more about Game Pass for the rest of June.
Yeah, but that's all we have time for this week. Remember, next week is the showcase. Keep an eye on all of our socials for when the news goes up about that. We will be live streaming it, and we will be, much to my detriment, recording XPass immediately after. We won't be recording that live because I'll still need to edit it, but I'm going to be sat here editing to probably 1 o'clock in the morning to get it done and uploaded for you on the Monday. So it's going to be a fantastic week next week for Game Pass. Make sure you check out things like Talking the PS, which comes out tomorrow. We also have... Is it Ubisoft tonight?
Yes.
Yes, it's Ubisoft Showcase tonight. So 6 p.m. will be...
Maybe not.
Maybe not?
Now you've said that out loud, maybe not.
Okay. We
just keep it locked to the channel to find... I think it's
keep an eye out. We'll discuss off camera.
This coming Thursday is Games Fest kickoff.
Yeah.
So next Sunday is the showcase. The Monday after the showcase is Ubisoft Forward.
Isn't it? I've got it down as the 5th. Have I got that date wrong?
I mean, I might be wrong now. I said that out loud.
Right, I'm going to double check before we end the show, because I do have a list in front of me. Just bearing in mind, I'm filling time.
Filling time to trim out of the show at the end. Yeah, 12th of June, Ubisoft Forward.
Okay, yeah, I've got that wrong. Yeah, so next week. So a week on Monday. So a week today, we have Ubisoft. And we have our Lunar Listening podcast, which will go up on Wednesday. So I'm guessing with the showcases, well, Thursday will be the Summer Games Fest, so we won't be doing a game stream this week.
Correct.
So anyway, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much. Make sure you like the video, all that sort of stuff. And if you want to write in, we have a Discord server. Links in the description below. With that, my name's been Richie.
I've been Chris.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.